Welcome to Alex's Adventures in English. I'm Alex and today we're shadowing Luke reading a short story written by Roald Dahl. We're going to shadow the first minute of Luke's reading of Parson's Pleasure, which was featured in episode 817 of Luke's English podcasts. In case you don't know, shadowing means listening to a speaker and repeating what they say straight after them, trying to match their pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as closely as possible. This is something Luke usually recommends on his podcasts. Okay, it's actually one of the most powerful ways to improve your pronunciation, intonation and rhythm, connected speech, and overall confidence in spoken English. And this is something I've been doing ever since I came across Luke's English podcast a few years ago. And it's really helped me a lot with my pronunciation. It was a game changer, you know. And so over the years, shadowing Luke's storytelling has really helped me notice the little details in natural British English, in Southern Standard British English, Luke Thompson's accents. And so, in this session, I'll be shadowing Luke's storytelling in real time, you know. And as I go along, I'll point out a few key features that are worth paying attention to. For example, the Schwa and other sounds and linking phenomena. Linking sounds like for example the linking R. Okay? This is something I did in previous episodes. Actually, this is the third episode I've recorded, the third live recording of me shadowing Luke, you know. So, okay, now let's move on to shadowing Luke. We've got to repeat immediately, mimicking him, mimicking his intonation, pace, and delivery. Okay? So, let's crack on, guys. Alright, so let's get started.
Mr. Boggis stopped the car Let's get started. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Here we go. Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit.
Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit. Again.
Here we go. Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit.
Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit.
Got out and looked around.
Got out and looked around. Okay, let's start again.
To happen next. Let's get started. Okay, here we go.
Okay, here we
Mr.
go.
Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit.
Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit.
Got out and looked around.
Okay, he says, got out, got out. He doesn't say, got out. Listen to that again.
It was per car just short of the summit, got out and looked around.
Got out. There we've got a glottal stop. So, got out. Actually, got out. Got out or got out? Got out, he says. Right, yeah.
Stopped the car just short of the summit, got out and looked around.
Got out and looked around. And looked. Look at that. Looked. That's the way we pronounce the simple past of the verb look. Looked. And speaking of simple past verbs, we've got stopped. We've got to be careful there, especially if your native language is Spanish. You don't have to add a vowel sound, before the S sound. It's not stopped, but stopped. And
stopped the car just short of the summit.
Stopped the car. He doesn't say stopped the car, right? He says stopped the car. Again, as I mentioned in previous episodes, in Southern Standard British English, Luke's accent, the R is not usually pronounced at the end of a word, like car, except for some exceptions, okay?
Got out and looked around. It was
around, okay? Around.
It was perfect. Short of the summit, got out and looked around. It was perfect. It
was perfect.
Of the summit, got out and looked around. It was perfect. He could see for miles.
It was perfect. Look at that. As in perfect. That in perfect is absolutely perfect, I might say. It was perfect. As in words like word or bird and church. It was perfect. He could see for miles. He could see for miles. Okay? He could see for miles. Yeah, so he could see. It's not he could, but he could see for miles.
Out and looked around. It was perfect. He could see for miles.
He could see for miles. He doesn't say for miles, as you would expect to hear in American English, for example. He could see for miles again, because he speaks with this accent, okay? He could see for miles.
Over on the right, he spotted a medium farmhouse.
Over on the right, he spotted a medium farmhouse. Over on the right, here we've got an interesting phenomenon. Over on the right, over on... Previously I said that in standard Southern British English, the R is not usually pronounced at the end of a word, but that there are a few exceptions to this tendency. The thing is that in this case, the over is followed by another word beginning with a vowel sound, specifically on. Okay, so in this case, in this accent, they would pronounce the r sound. They say over on. Okay, it's a very gentle sound, very small. Over on. It's not over on, but over on the right. And as I explained in previous episodes, over on, in this case, this linking sound is called linking R, okay, because it is in the spelling. Over on the right. Right, let's go on.
Beyond it was a larger.
Let's rewind a bit.
And looked around. It was perfect. He could see for miles. Over on the right, he spotted a medium farmhouse.
He spotted. Okay, he spotted. So spotted, yeah, so spotted is the simple past. It's a regular verb, and in the simple past it becomes spotted. Okay, because in the infinitive is spot. That is to say, it ends with a sound t. Spot. So, being a regular verb, we need to add to it ed at the end. And as it ends with a sound, with a consonant sound t, the ed ending is pronounced ed. Spotted. He spotted a medium farmhouse. Okay, a medium. This medium, the first syllable, the vowel in the first syllable of medium rhymes with C in, for example, the sentence, he could see for miles. So this is medium farmhouse. As I mentioned in previous episodes, farmhouse, farm, the vowel sound there in that syllable, farm, rhymes with car. Okay, as well, actually, at the very beginning of the story, the word car is mentioned. Does appear, doesn't it? So it rhymes with that word. So we say farm, house, car. And by the way, the word around, the syllable round, this vowel sound there rhymes with house. Okay, round, around, house, and the word out in got out, got out. Okay, and all right, let's move on.
Beyond it was a larger one.
Beyond it was a larger one. Beyond it was a larger one. Beyond it was a look at that, was a larger one. Again.
It was perfect. He could see for miles. Mr. Boggis...
Okay, let's begin from the top, okay?
Next, let's get started. Okay, here we go. Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit, got out and looked around.
Mr. Boggis stopped the car just short of the summit, got out and looked around.
It was perfect. He could see for miles.
It was perfect. He could see for miles.
Over on the right, he spotted a medium farmhouse.
Over on the right, he spotted a medium farmhouse.
Beyond it was a larger one.
Beyond it was a larger one. So, in the word larger, the first syllable in this word, larger, rhymes with car, with the vowel sound in car, and in farm, okay? So you can practice these words together. Car, farmhouse, larger one.
There was a house that might be a Queen Anne.
There was a house. All right, let's repeat that again. There was a house that might be a Queen Anne. We've got to be careful with house, because if your native language is Spanish, you might say house, and we need to avoid that. It's house, okay? So house. There was a house that might be a Queen Anne. Again.
Beyond it was a larger one. There was a house that might be a Queen Anne.
There was a house that might be a Queen Anne. That might be a Queen Anne.
Beyond it was a larger one. There was a house that might be a Queen Anne.
There was a house that might be a Queen Anne. Might be. Let me break it down. Yeah. So in this case, this is an interesting phenomenon. So that might be. So you can do the following. He doesn't pronounce the t. He doesn't say might be. Okay? So you can do that, not pronounce the final t sound, and say he might be. Okay? Might be. So he might be. He might be. Might be. This is called assimilation, you know. So when one sound becomes similar to the following, or actually, so you might say he might be, you could produce here a glottal stop and say might be, or actually assimilate the sound t to the following sound, and in that case you'll get might be. Alright, might be. So you've got two possibilities there at least. And alright, that might be a queen. The vowel sound in that word, queen, rhymes with C. Queen. And medium. Okay? You can practice those words together. Alright. Let's continue. So.
And there were two likely farms over on the left.
And there were two likely farms over on the left. And there were two likely farms over on the left. There were two likely farms. Again, this word with a sound R in it. Farms over on, again, the link in R. Over on the left. Over on the left. Over on the left.
5 places in all.
5 places in all. 5 places in all.
Then he drove to the other side of the hill.
Then he drove to the other side of the hill. Then he drove to the other side of the hill. Then he drove to the other side of the hill. In this case, you can notice that something interesting we can notice here. Let me show it to you. Before, Luke says, yeah, he says, let me find it. Okay, for example, Mr. Boggis stopped the car. Mr. Boggis stopped the car. Okay? The car. So, you get this schwa sound when he pronounces the. He says the car, but then he says the other side. Alright, so the other side, the car, but he says the other side. So, what happens in the second case? In the other side. Okay? So you get in the car. Yeah. So we can explain it like this. Let me show it to you. Okay. So this is the car. In the car, you've got the phonemic transcription, the car. The car. Okay. This is a schwa sound. That's a schwa sound. And the word the, is pronounced with a schwa because the following word starts with a consonant, namely k, the car. Okay? And, alright. And we can also say that car is pronounced with this long R sound. That's something we need to mention here too. Car is pronounced with a long open back vowel, R, and no R is pronounced at the end in British English, except in, certain cases. Alright, and something else we need to mention. The other side. Okay, the other side. What happens here? This is, in this case, we get this is the other side. You get the phonemic transcription is the other side. The other side. It's not the, but the other side. The other side. And why? Why do you think so? Why do you think that he pronounces I rather than in this case? I think that you might imagine the reason, but let me explain it to you. The in this case is pronounced as the, just like at the end of the word happy, because it's followed by a word that starts with a vowel sound, other. Okay, so the other. Alright, so, and other, again, this is standard Southern British English. You won't expect native speakers to say other, alright? But they will usually pronounce their schwa sound, other. Alright, let's move on, guys.
Where he saw 6 more. There are 2 likely farms over on the left, 5 places in all. Then he drove to the other side of the hill, where he saw 6 more possibles.
Where he saw 6 more possibles.
5 farms and 1 big Georgian house.
5 farms and 1 big Georgian house. Georgian. 1 big Georgian house.
He ruled out the latter.
He ruled out the latter. He ruled out the latter. He ruled out the latter. Let's listen to that again.
And 1 big Georgian house. He ruled out the latter. It looked
again.
And 1 big Georgian house. He ruled out the latter.
Out the latter. He ruled out the latter. He doesn't say ruled out. but he ruled out the latter. The latter. Okay? The, not the, because the word latter begins with a consonant sound, and we don't say, you won't expect him to say latter, not ladder, right? But latter, because of his accent.
It looked prosperous. And there was...
It looked prosperous. It looked prosperous. Okay? It looked prosperous. Again, looked is pronounced looked. Looked prosperous.
There was no point. He ruled out the latter. It looked prosperous.
Prosperous. Prosperous. Prosperous. Alright? You've got o at the beginning of this word. Prosperous. Two schwa sounds. Prosperous. Okay.
And there was no point in calling on the prosperous.
And there was no point in calling on the prosperous. And there was no point in calling on the prosperous. On the prosperous. Okay? You begin the word the. Actually, the word on, rather than say on, you say on the. It's like you anticipate the next sound. On the prosperous. Alright, let me do the following. So,
what is going to happen next? Let's get started. Okay,
so from minute 10 to 11. Okay.
In calling on the prosperous. Apart from the...
Okay, let's continue with that. I love that part. That bit.
And there was no point in calling on the prosperous. Apart from the fact that he was at this moment disguised as a clergyman.
Apart from the facts. Apart from the facts. Let's listen to that again.
Apart from the fact, and there was no point in calling on the prosperous. Apart from the fact.
Apart from the facts. Apart from the facts. Apart. So these final syllable words, I mean the vowel sound, there rhymes with words such as car, farm, farm. But in this case, he says apart.
And there was no point in calling on the prosperous.
Let me see if I can find another word that rhymes with apart. Larger. Okay, larger. And
Apart from the fact that he was...
Apart from the facts. Facts rhymes with the word cat. Facts. As I mentioned in my previous episode. Facts. Apart from the facts.
Was at this in calling on the prosperous. Apart from the fact.
Apart from the facts. So he doesn't say apart, does he? Apart, that's a glottal stop there at the end of apart. Apart from Schwa, from the another Schwa, apart from the facts
that he was at this moment disguised as a clergyman.
Disguised as a clergyman.
There was that he was at this moment disguised as a clergyman.
Clergy, cler. That vowel sound is one you'll find in words such as bird, church, word, clergy, clergyman.
There was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis.
There was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis. Let's listen to that again.
As a clergyman, there was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis.
There was nothing very sinister about...
As a clergyman, there was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis.
Sinister about. Look at that. That's an interesting phenomenon. He doesn't say sinister about.
Clergyman, there was nothing very sinister about Cyril.
Sinister about. If you pay attention to what I said before and in previous episodes, you might expect to find there, between these words, sinister and about, a link in R. Okay? Because sinister ends with, in the spelling you'll find at the end of it, an R. And about begins with a schwa sound. So if you say those words in rapid speech, if you connect the words, then you would expect to find the native speakers will say sinister about. But this is not compulsory, it's just a tendency you'll find in native speakers. So this is not wrong, not pronouncing the link in R. But actually quite natural, especially when there's a pause. If there's no such a pause, then you'd probably hear a link in R. But in this case, there is a pause. So he says, there was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis. Cyril Boggis.
By trade, a dealer in antique furniture.
By trade, a dealer in antique furniture.
About Cyril Boggis. By trade, a dealer in antique furniture.
Again, a dealer in... If you connect those words in rapid speech, in British English, in Southern Standard British English, you'd hear a dealer in. Again, because of the link in R sound that usually sneaks in. So, sinister about, dealer in, but what about Luke? What does he do?
With a shot, Cyril Boggis. By trade, a dealer in antique.
A dealer in. He doesn't pronounce the linking R sound there, because he does make a pause, doesn't he? Okay, so by trade, a dealer in antique furniture, antique. In the word antique, you get at the beginning the vowel sound a, antique, and then you get the e, the long e sound, as in medium. Okay, in antique furniture. At the beginning of this word, you get the same sound as in a bird. Furniture. Bird. Okay, this sound. All right.
Furniture with a shop in the King's Road, Chelsea, Boggis had achieved a considerable reputation by producing unusual items with astonishing regularity.
Okay. By trade, a dealer in antique. Oh, yeah. I tend to pronounce the linking R there. By trade, a dealer in antique furniture with a shop in the King's Road, Chelsea, Boggis had achieved a considerable reputation by producing unusual items with astonishing regularity. Let me go over that again.
When asking unusual items with astonishing regularable reputation by producing Boggis had achieved a considerable reputation by the Clergyman. There was nothing very sinister about Cyril Boggis. By trade, a dealer in antique furniture with
a
shop in the King's Road. Chelsea. Boggis had achieved a considerable reputation.
Let's listen to that again.
Road, Chelsea. Boggis had achieved in the second syllable, in the last syllable, you'll find the same vowel sound as in C, or even medium. So had achieved. Yep, had achieved. Furniture with a shop in the King's Road, Chelsea. Boggis had achieved a considerable reputation by producing unusual items with astonishing regularity.
By producing unusual items with astonishing regularity. Astonishing. You know, something that is amazing. So, all right. So that's a minute or a bit, a bit more. And all right, guys. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And now it's time for some closing remarks. So, guys, if you're looking to sound more natural when speaking English, shadowing is honestly one of the best things you can do. Just a couple of minutes a day, remember that, guys. Repeating after a skilled native speaker like Luke Thompson helps you build muscle memory, improve your listening and boosts your confidence. And that's exactly what I've been doing with Luke's podcasts. And it's made a huge difference in my own speaking, you know. So let me know in the comments if you'd like more shadowing practice. More shadowing practice of videos like this. I'd love to turn this into a full-on series. I think I've already done so. I'm on it actually. And but anyway, I'd like to know your opinion. And if you found this helpful, feel free to like, subscribe, and join me on more English adventures. And thanks so much for watching. And as Luke would say, bye, 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 bye.